Are Toki, Amatsuki, and Zunisha related? Yes. How? We'll find out in this video. Is Zunisha Pluton? Is that possible? We'll find out in this video series. What's the true story of the ancient weapons? What sin or crime did Zunisha commit? Why did Joy Boy have to apologize to Poseidon? We'll find that out in this video series. Let's go! Alright guys, Zunisha is coming to Wano. Now, so many people have predicted this, and their reasons for predicting it, mind you, they weren't foolproof. They were just like, well, it would make sense, this, that, and the other. But it's all speculation, and I've even heard a lot of popular YouTubers who are very knowledgeable about One Piece. They're just completely confused. They can't figure out what Zunisha is doing there. They know it has to line up with the story. They know Oda has a plan here and it's going to relate back to everything, but they can't find the evidence to prove it one way or another. A lot of people are talking about Toki's devil fruit being the devil fruit that the Gorosei tried to erase from history. Now, I'm going to play a clip from Joy Boy here in his latest reactionary video reading the comments, because basically it does just that. It's a guy who says he believes it's Toki's devil fruit, and then listen to what Joy Boy says. This is so interesting.
Two issues which may mean absolutely nothing at all. The first one I kind of voiced in my first reaction is that Toki's devil fruit doesn't seem to have any tie to Zunisha that we are aware of. And so it was kind of intermixed with this reveal of Zunisha being there. This is a bit too much dishonesty from an author for my taste. Whether that's too much dishonesty in Oda's opinion, I mean, we will find out. If he chooses Toki, then that's what it is. But it'll still be like, come on, man. Like, you couldn't have found a devil fruit to relate this to the reveal that's going on in the chapter.
Joy Boy is exactly right here. Guys, if he says an author is being too dishonest if he does or does not do something, you can believe Joy Boy, because he is writing his own book. Now, I've personally written 3 books, completed 1, and I still have 2 more going on, and it is hard. And if you follow Joy Boy, you know he is very, very dedicated to this book. He's trying to put his heart and soul into it, like Oda does for One Piece. And so, honestly, he's earned the right to say those kind of things, and I completely agree with him. This is what his point was. We don't see a connection between Toki's devil fruit and Zunisha, and he is completely right. There is no connection between Toki's devil fruit and Zunisha, okay? So what am I trying to say here? There is a huge connection, not between Toki's devil fruit and Zunisha, but between the Amatsuki clan and Zunisha and the poneglyphs, and I'm about to show you guys right now what I'm talking about. As we know, Odin died before passing down the knowledge of how to read the poneglyphs and engrave the poneglyphs to Momonosuke. And yet, when Odin died, he was smiling, and he said he wouldn't die because, you know, he would live on, and everyone interprets that as the scabbards, and that's accurate to interpret it that way. Even Toki, she was like, you're not gonna die, right? And she was totally okay with it, and everyone says this is because he had knowledge of the Void Century and what was gonna happen in the future, but seriously, how could they not be freaking out that Momonosuke, the last remaining Kozuki, couldn't read the poneglyphs? Like, that's a big thing. But that's not enough to blow your mind, and I promised you guys I would blow your mind. So, like I did in my last video, I'm gonna piece together what is happening, and I'm gonna make sense of this entire situation that's been going on in Wano for you. All right, let's get it. Here it is, guys. Is your mind blown? No, not yet. All right, here, look. Is your mind blown? No? Okay, let me explain it for you guys. This is a moon chart. See, and there's 6 essential phases of the moon. And there is 6 ruling families of Wano. Do you find that interesting? Well, it's gonna get more interesting, because if you know what Kurozomi means, you know it means black charcoal. So I'm not gonna beat around the bush here, guys, I'm just gonna tell you. You see, black charcoal is in fact a moon name. It's a lunar eclipse. When the moon is completely invisible, it's being eclipsed, it looks like black charcoal. So as you can see, an eclipse is an obscuring of the light from a celestial body. And a lunar eclipse is when the moonlight completely goes away. And notice what Kozuki means. Ko is light, and Zuki is moon, moonlight. So Odin died, Momo is nowhere to be seen, Hiyori is nowhere to be seen. It seems as if the moonlight is completely wiped out, and the Kurozomi are ruling. And it is an absolute eclipse in Wano right now. But if this is true, it would also be the Kozuki who would start ruling again after the eclipse, because the light of the moon is the last thing to leave in an eclipse. And then when the eclipse ends, the light of the moon is the very first thing to once again start. So, Momo is going to rise up. But guys, that's not even the best part. Because when the Kozuki is down, who has their back? Who is the one who will bring the moonlight back? Yes, Amatsuki. What does Ama mean? Heavenly. What does Tsuki mean? Moon. So the heavenly moon, the one that you can't see but that's there, that's Toki, the Amatsuki, how they would always marry the Kozuki. They were in the background, the humble wife. And yet it's her powers that's going to save Wano and bring back the light. The Amatsuki's power is the voice of all things. Yes, what happens, in fact, if one of the Kozuki members who engraves the poneglyphs and reads the old language dies before handing down that information? At that point, the voice of all things from the Amatsuki will guide their way, and they'll be able to hear the voice of the poneglyphs. And that is the fail-safe that they have in place. And that's how the Amatsuki and the Kozuki support one another. And if you look at Odin's, the crescent moon on Odin's coat, it mirrors the Amatsuki, not the Kozuki, because the Amatsuki is a sideways moon, whereas the Kozuki is the wings of the bird, like a U shape. And this kind of tricked people, because Odin actually had the voice of all things, if you remember. He was hearing the Sea Kings talking, he heard supposedly Zunisha's voice, but he couldn't communicate with it. But why did Odin have that? As well as Roger. Well, Roger had it for the same reason Luffy had it, that's a different topic. Odin had it because he was born from Amatsuki parents as well. His mother was Amatsuki, and his father was Kozuki, just like Momonosuke. So, Momonosuke, his voice of all things is in full effect thanks to Toki's power, and she may have actually done something to enhance that. I'm not sure. Like in case the Kozuki husband dies, possibly the Amatsuki wife has like a ritual or something she can do that can act as a catalyst to the voice of all things power within that Kozuki boy. So Momonosuke has the voice of all things, which is the fail-safe for the Kozukis. And I believe it's also the control ability for Pluton. Okay, Pluton was Joy Boy's ship. See the first part in this video series that I made. It was left under the care of the Minks until the Amatsuki Kozuki heir gave it commands. Now remember, Zunisha was saying, "Soko ni iru ka?" Like he was saying, "Are you there? Are you there? If you're there, please give me a command." But he didn't know if that person he was thinking of was there. So then, how does Zunisha send images of Jack to Momo before it even knows if Momo's truly there, right? And go ahead and look at what Momo says. He says, "Kinemon, I feel terrible. The closer we get to the whale, the more I can hear this loud voice." So, what does that tell us? Well, it's the Klabautermon. It's not the Poneglyph, mind you. And what's really going on here is a ship ate a devil fruit that had a Klabautermon. That means there's two wills simultaneously coexisting, So Zunisha sees Jack. Well, those images are also shared by Pluton's Klabautermann, who then can show Momo through the voice of all things. Notice what Rizzo said. When he first came here, it was as if the country itself was alive. That's true. It's absolutely true. Remember when Vivi went on the merry-go, and when people go on the Sunny, they feel like it's so alive. The whole thing's alive, and they attribute it to the same things Rizzo attributed it to. People there doing stuff, bustling, having fun, smiling, eating together. In actuality, we know it really was alive. The Klabautermann, all that stuff gave birth to it, and it's the same description here with what Rizzo's saying about Zoe. Anyways, I'm not going to give you more evidence for that right now, because that's all going to be in part 3, the most important part that this is leading up to. I actually believe that Toki was on Joy Boy's crew, but I don't think she was actually a crew member. I think she was an apprentice, and her mom and another Kozuki was on Joy Boy's thing, and she would be equal to Hiyori or Momo when they were on the adventure with Roger and Whitebeard. But when Joy Boy was going on his final adventure, once again, see part 1 of this video series, but when Joy Boy was going on his final adventure to leave the Poneglyphs, and Zunisha had already committed its crime that we talked about in the last part, once again, well, at that point, Toki was given the Toki Toki fruit, and she was told that, look, you're going to have to carry on this will. We need someone to go into the furthest future possible, right before this inherited will takes full shape, right before the dawn, and it's going to be somewhere around 800 years. We need you to go make sure that the Kozuki don't die out. And that's why Toki was jumping forward and looking for Wano and stuff. And they probably told her, like, look, as long as you try and you have a pure heart, destiny will help you get there. And then Odin saved her, you know, and she knew that was what she needed. Well, let me show you what it says in the English subtitles. It says here, when I am with you, I feel like I am right where I want to be. However, in Japanese, it's different. Once again, guys, welcome to No Gym Needed School of Nihongo Benkyo. You ready? Toki specifically says, Anata to iru to. So, when I am with you, like in person, Mokutekichi ni tsuita yona kimochi ni naru kara. Mokuteki is goal, aim, or purpose, and chi is just like tsuchi. It means land or soil, but here it's land. So, Mokutekichi is the desired location, the desired destination. Then she says, Suita no ya kimochi ni naru. So that means suita is arrived, yo is like something, kimochi is a feeling. So when she is with Odin, she feels as if she's already arrived at her destination that her whole 800-year journey has taken her on.
Toki, お前も探しに来たんじゃないのか? 800年の昔から世界がひっくり返る日を。ならば20年先へ飛べ。お前の違う。なんだ、わからん。ひどいこと言われたもん。ひどいこと？今、私に一人で20年後へ飛べって言ったじゃない。いやー、それはお前の旅の目的を考えたら、その方がいいと思ってたな。変わったのよ。
In order to give you guys a full story, we need to rebuild the politics of Wano from at least the last 50 to 800 years. So here we go. In Odin's Father's Day, that is Sukiyaki, the daimyo of Hakumai was Shimotsuki Yasui, and that was taken from the Kurozomi and given to him. Now the daimyo of Ringo was Shimotsuki Ushimaru, and this is their original one. And we don't know that for a fact, but we can guess it because Shimotsuki means frost moon. So, and look at Ringo, it's frosty. So yeah. Then the daimyo of Kibi was Fugetsu Omusibi, and the daimyo of Udon was Uzuki Tempura. So what about the Amatsuki? I know this has confused people. Now, Toki's family was a branch that left Wano about 830 to 40 years ago, but for the majority of the last 800 years, the Amatsuki clan was still in Wano, ruling as a daimyo. So where are they now? Sadly, they were all apparently killed by the poisoning plot of the Kurozomi. Let's say, though, Amatsuki ruled Kuri 50 or so years ago, but after dying to the Kurozomi's plot, The land was overrun by bandits and robbers, becoming lawless. So, if Toki went there earlier, she wouldn't have found any trace of her family. But now Odin came, and he reformed the Kuri region, eventually becoming its daimyo. Now, when he was gone, it was none other than Amatsuki Toki ruling the region, the way it should be. And she was working hard with everyone, never living in luxury. Every day she was out there working, nothing like celestial dragons. Seeing how different Toki is from them has meaning, but not for this video. At some point, someone's gonna say it. They're gonna say, hey, what if this is true? And what if Luffy's mom was an Amatsuki and Dragon married her? That's why Luffy has black hair. No, because first of all, I'm pretty sure we've seen some Amatsukis with black hair as well, so you don't have to worry about that. But what you do have to worry about is the Amatsuki crest. Notice how it's a bird flying toward a little bit of moonlight coming off of an eclipse, is what it looks like to me, quite honestly. And you look at the Kozuki crest, the moonlight crest, and it's the bird basking it's a bird like flying away from the eclipse into the light, right? So I have a feeling there was prophecies spoken at the inception of these clans, and they realized during the Void Century that it was their job to fulfill those clan prophecies, okay? We could get deeper into that because the bird has the classic circle with the 8 circles around it. That just means the true history. That's essentially the One Piece, not the treasure part, but the One Piece where everyone was of one piece, okay? It's bringing that history out of the eclipse and into the moonlight, and why Luffy cannot be a Kozuki or an Amatsuki is because, first of all, his whole job is to head to the dawn, to go into the sunlight, and not the moonlight. And essentially what that means is, rather than having a very specific role to fulfill, like the Kozuki, like the Amatsuki, like the Minks watching over Zou, Luffy is an integral part of all of it. He is the thing that interconnects all of these people. And he is the one that's gonna go through all of them and then push through all of it into the actual dawn. Look, it's in the original logo. So you got Luffy's Jolly Roger, and it's holding a rope, and that rope is tying the entire One Piece emblem. And at the very end, you have an anchor. So that's saying that Luffy's travel, his adventure on his ship, encapsulates the entire purpose of the series. And then you have Luffy right in the middle of it all. So that's Hitotsunagi, tying people together, the treasure that'll tie all people together, and then Hitotsunagi, one thing. So it's talking about the physical treasure, which would probably be bringing all the poneglyphs together. There's going to be gold and all that stuff around there too. And then you got the one that ties everything together. That's fulfilling the inherited will of the ancient of ancients when it was fully peaceful. So getting away from the corruption that has happened over the centuries and bringing it back to the original, bringing it back to zero, like Fishman Island. I just told you guys One Piece, but no, anyways. And what's more important is where the One Piece is hidden, honestly. And that will specifically be in part 3. But I got a little bit more to go here, guys. Come on, stick with me. I know you're loving this. Yo, I can't have you guys falling asleep on me. Let's do some karaoke quick, you know. We gotta keep this lively, and we gotta keep it in the spirit of One Piece. So that's how we do it. ある時の夢をかき集め探し物を探しに行くのさ One Pieceラッシュバンなんて渋滞のもと熱に浮かされ舵を取るのさ誇りかぶっていた宝の地図も確かめたのなら伝説じゃない 個人的な話は誰かのバイオリズムの過程思い過ごせばいいあなた系の夢をかき集め探し物を探しに行くのさポケットのコインそれと You wanna be my friend We are on the cruise We Are you guys feeling it? Are you singing along? This is how I want my videos and channel to be. You gotta have spirit. Guts. I know you guys know this song. Get the lyrics up, pause it, and let's sing along. I'm waiting for you guys. Have you got the lyrics yet? Here we go. 全部真に受けて信じちゃっても肩押されて一歩リードさ今度会えたなら話すつもりさそれからのこととこれからのことつまりいつもピンチは誰かにアピールできるいいチャンス自意識過剰に閉められた夜をぶっ飛ばせ宝箱今日にはないけどポケットにロマンそれと You wanna be my friend We are on the cruise あれだけの夢をかき集め探し物探しに行くのさポケットのコインそれと You wanna be my friend We are on the cruise We are Hell yeah. Yes, well, like I was saying in my last video, Joy Boy had time to make many plans because both the 20 kings and Joy Boy's allies, the Ancient Kingdom, built up their strength but came to a standstill. The 20 kings and Emu didn't want to fight because of how many casualties would result, and Joy Boy himself may have known Emu and had a counter to Emu's power. On the other side of things, the peaceful Ancient Kingdom didn't want to kill a bunch of people if they didn't have to. And so they formed a truce and planned what would be the first reverie between the 20 human kings on the red line and the Ancient Kingdom's representative rulers, both human and non-human. We're talking minks, fishmen, long-arm tribe, ancient giant, etc. Leading up to the reverie, the truce was that both sides must not strike the other, and that's when a traitor sold out Pluton or Zunisha's location, and Uranus provoked Zunisha, and Zunisha struck it. And the 20 kings played dumb, made it seem much worse than it was, and put the Ancient Kingdom in a very awkward situation. Abandon their ideals and fight, and be seen as the reason for all the death that resulted through all history, or give up to save those lives and prove their ideals true. That's the true history. Joy Boy gave up without a fight. If they went against their word, fought, killed, and won, they'd be the devils in history. No better than the 20 kings they're rising up against, who came from the moon and slaughtered the Lunarians, who were benevolent overseers, affectionately called gods by the ancient world. Okay, guys, I really want you to really soak that in, because I just told you the true history of the One Piece world. They had all this strength, and they couldn't even do anything. They couldn't fight. They couldn't, because it's just like Whitebeard. Remember how Whitebeard, he didn't want to go save Odin because of all the death that would have resulted. He just let Odin do Odin and hope for the best. But then when Ace came, he said, forget it. I've had enough. I know there's going to be death, but I have to fight. That is exactly what happened in the Void Century. That is epic foreshadowing. What happened is Joy Boy didn't even get to fight. Look, if he did fight after the world government made it public that Zunisha, that Pluton struck them first and broke the truce, that already makes them look bad, even though they were being set up by the world government. Then if they go ahead and do a Marineford, but the OG Marineford, way crazier, Final War style, all those deaths would end up being blamed on them. If they lost, that would be even worse. And if they won, the only way they could look righteous at that point is by wiping out the whole history of that century and then setting themselves up as gods and saying that this wicked, evil world government came and rose up. Well, guess what? That's exactly what happened. Because the ancient kingdom gave up without a fight, the government made that a void century. Why? Because it was their ideals that threatened everything. It's the ideals that threatened the world government's power. It wasn't a power struggle at all. The only reason Roger was too early was just because of the ancient weapons not being born yet. And the other thing about it is Roger had very little time left, so he couldn't have done anything. And if Luffy figured all this out when Rayleigh told him, what would he do? That he couldn't do anything. And it doesn't hit the same way. Like, imagine skipping to the end of One Piece and just seeing what the One Piece is. It wouldn't affect your heart. But imagine watching One Piece for 20 years, like me, and like some of these other people in the community, and then finally seeing the One Piece. It's different. So if Luffy just figured all this out, it would not affect his heart. But when he gets all the way to Laugh-Tale on his own, the impact, it's going to be so much more. And that's the whole purpose. That's inherited will. You don't inherit will by, like, think about the people who died for the Bible, trying to translate the Bible or whatever. To them, that book meant more than their life, and preserving it was their number one cost. And that's also what Oda's drawing on here. But do you think those people got that way? Do you think that book became that precious to them if they just read the first page and the last page? Absolutely not. And you look at the Bible history, people were strangled to death, burned alive, usually by the Catholic Church. But yeah, so it's crazy. And this is exactly what Oda is trying to communicate to us here. So what exactly happened? Let me tell you just one more time in the best words that I can. The 20 kings made public the fact that Pluton struck Uranus first. So it already made, big news Morgan style, it already made the ancient kingdom look like the bad guys. If from there they went and fought, there would be resulting casualties no matter what. And if they lost, it would be game over. It wouldn't be a void century. The world government would completely jump all over that and shame them so bad and show how, yeah, they had these ideals, but when it came down to it, they just broke their promise and came and tried to destroy us, and they even lost the power struggle. That would have been horrible. So the Laugh-Tale is that in that time, Joy Boy said, well, we can either fight and abandon our ideals and maybe win, but maybe lose. And even if we win, the only way we could cover this up is by lying, because we, in fact, did break our promise. Zunisha actually did attack them first and broke the treaty. And that's why Zunisha knows its crime is so serious and he's been willing to walk this whole time, because it was very serious and it's his fault there. Just like how Ace paid for his mistake with his life, Zunisha is paying for its mistake by walking. Now, if the Ancient Kingdom did go back on its word and won the power struggle and wiped out the 20 kings, they could never clean their slate. For the rest of history, everybody would know that they went against their ideals, they threw them to the wayside to fight. And they would have to cover that bit of history up in order to look like good people, to be honest. And that's exactly what the world government did. So do you guys see what happened? Do you see why there couldn't be no fight? And do you see why the government is not scared of the ancient weapons? In fact, every single time someone researches the real poneglyphs and stuff, they kill them and arrest them because they always say they're trying to resurrect the ancient weapons. They're trying to resurrect the ancient weapons that could destroy the world and destroy an island. But guess what? That is not what the government's scared of at all. In fact, the government is scared of the ancient kingdom's ideals, the ideals that Joy Boy laid down his life for. And that's it. You guys now know the entire history. There may be some slight details that need tweaking as we get more information, but that's it. I've never heard anyone say this. Guys, and this is part 2. Wait till you hear part 3 and where Raftel is. I think your mind's gonna be blown bigger than it has been so far. We got a few more things to go over, like some of the foreshadowing that Oda did, and I think you guys are gonna love this. So this is the very final part. Check it out. When Jack attacks Zunisha, this is like in the last video where a gun eats a dog fruit in paradise and two sides of the same coin. Yamato eats the mythical dog fruit in Wano. Funkfried, a sword, eats the Zozo no Mi. And then Pluton eats the mythical Zozo no Mi. Okay, we remember that, but check this out. Now Jack comes, elephant versus elephant, and Nekomamushi says to Jack, "You've eaten a pretty rare fruit." Well, Joy Boy got an even rarer one for his ship. Here's the foreshadowing. In the last video, we said Pluton ate the Zozo fruit for 2 reasons. 1, to mask its appearance of being Pluton, and 2, so that the Mermaid Queen could ride on its back while she commands the Sea Kings. We touched on this in part 1. It's all going to be in part 3, but as far as the largest of the largest Sea Kings, there's only a select few of them. And if she says, "I want you to go destroy the Red Line," she's not going to be on their backs while they're doing that. She has to have some sort of protection, and that's why Pluton was built, okay? So when Jack is attacking Zoe, he's actually attacking the one thing meant to protect his queen's life. Jack is a fishman, elephant, attacking Pluton, elephant. And it's so hilarious. It's foreshadowing. Jack is so stupid. He doesn't know the true history at all. And he's just violent. He's just completely violent and has no morals. And he would actually kill. And it's so funny when they talk about how they want to kill it. They say all these disgusting things. Rip out its tongue, cut out its eyes, its brain, whatever. And Jack is all pleased by this. He's so dumb. That's the thing that his ancestors built, that his ancestors risked their life for. Its whole job is to protect the queen. And it's so funny because Jack is doing all of this just to find Raizo, you know, at the behest of Kaido. It really shows too that Kaido is an anti-Joy Boy. He wanted to be Joy Boy and he couldn't be Joy Boy. He tried his best. He did everything. It's a Christ, an antichrist. Kaido is an antichrist. Look at what his actions are doing. He almost just destroyed Pluton, and yet he's there getting drunk out of his mind, laughing with Big Mom. "Let's go find the ancient weapons. Jack, have you killed Zunisha yet?" You know, at the same time on the Din Mushi. So it's awesome, guys. The foreshadowing is deep. And you know there's a lot of people like Jack who Roger encountered during his travels. And so now that you've heard this true history and you see how stupid Jack is, it's a laugh tale. You know what I mean? Once you go back and watch Nico Olivia talk to Jaguar D. Saul and picture it with this story in mind, and everything will make sense. Just go back and watch that. It will all make sense to you, and it will show you why Jaguar Saul gave his life for the cause. Because it's who he is. He's a good person. He went to the Marines to seek justice. And if this history comes out, imagine what it'll do to people like Kobe. Imagine Aka Inu, okay? If Aka Inu knew the true history, his absolute justice would be shaken to the core. He would immediately join the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. Do you realize that? So check this out, guys. I'm about to blow your mind so hard. If Aka Inu knew the true history, he would join the Marines. He wouldn't go join the Star Hat Grand Fleet, like I said. He would actually still join the Marines if there was a faction available to him that actually fought for what he deems absolute justice. Absolute justice should definitely be subjective, and that subjectiveness should be, and objectiveness should be based on the truth. And if he knows the truth of history, all it takes is for one person to tell him the true history and to be able to prove it to him. What's Aka Inu gonna do? You bet. He's gonna be the leader of Sword and he's gonna spearhead it. Aka Inu knows there's people over the Gorosei. People joke about that, but no. Go back and rewatch all those scenes when he's arguing with Fujitora, when he's arguing with the Gorosei. He's absolutely certain that there's somebody over the Gorosei, alright? So there you go. I think I've done enough for one video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let's have a conversation in the comments. And if you like this, which, I mean, hopefully everybody should like this information. It's new, it has tons of evidence, it ties everything together. It'll make you go back and rewatch all of One Piece with this true history in mind, and I promise you, you'll see the entire show differently. And that's the whole point. So, yeah, if this edit wasn't to your liking or whatever, or my voice, you like hated my voice when I was singing, or or any of that stuff, well, sorry about that, guys, but you know, I'm trying to have fun, and that's how I figured all this out, by just having fun and loving One Piece and listening to YouTubers and stuff. But when I listen to One Piece YouTubers, it's funny because I enjoy their content, but I always think, well, why didn't they mention this? And what about this? And look at this connection that they totally left out. And so that's how I came to this, and that's why I'm making these videos, because it's fun, guys. Don't get too, I don't know, stuck up on like high quality stuff. I'm gonna have more high quality stuff in the future. I'm editing all this myself. I'm gonna get better, guys. I could even hire an editor for all I care, you know? So thank you for bearing with me. If you enjoyed this, oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy I could share this with you guys. So that's it for now. No gym needed, signing out. I'll see you in the best part, the final part, part 3. Later, guys.